What's up, everybody? So we are here in our store in Alaska with the ladies from Rural Cap, and this is our very first video for our Alaska Quilt Drive in 2024. All of the quilts that are being donated this year are going to be going to Rural Cap, and they're going to talk to us about what Rural Cap does and all of the resources they offer to Alaskans here in the state of Alaska. So let's start off by introducing yourselves. Why don't you start, Megan?
Yeah, so my name is Megan Adair, and I'm the registered dietitian for Rural Cap, and I have been with Rural Cap for 1 year.
My name is Janice Smith, and I am a family service mental health lead. I've been with Rural Cap a little over 20 years, and I work with families all over Alaska.
Hi, I'm Cindy Boyer, and I am an education disabilities lead, and I have worked for Rural Cap for almost 22 years, which Janice has also.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So any of you three, and sorry guys, I didn't know we were gonna have three people here, so I only brought one mic plus my mic, so we're gonna pass the mic around. Please give us a background of what Rural Cap is and kind of the services that are provided to the people here in Alaska.
So Rural Cap, so rural, the AL is for Alaska, and then CAP is Community Action Program, and we are a nonprofit organization serving Native Alaskans throughout the state of Alaska. And so all three of us, we work in the child development division of Rural Cap. There's also other divisions that work like with housing and the homeless and different things throughout Alaska, but we work with the child development division, and we work in Head Start. So we've got 21 Head Start sites and 7 early Head Start sites. Anywhere children ages 0 to 5 is the range for that. And so
this year for the Alaska Quilt Drive, in years past we've done mostly adult male quilts. So one thing that's really cool about this year is that we're going to be able to do baby quilts, children's quilts, and adult quilts, and it will be able to benefit all of the people that you guys are serving. So give us kind of some of your program backgrounds. How do you identify people that need your services? How does the product get out to them, whether it's education, nutrition, quilts? Tell us a little about that.
We start with enrollment, and we have an application process that we go through. So a family will fill out an application for their child, and first they have to be age eligible. So families that might be homeless or foster children, they are the first children in our program. So we use the state of Alaska poverty guidelines, and families that fall within that, they are accepted into the program next. And then we also look at children with special needs, and this is Cindy's department. Cindy's an education disabilities lead. So we are very much tiering the needs of the families and the children, and that's how we determine.
Based on their needs. Last year or 2 years ago, was it last year with the beanies? Last year, right? Okay, so long story short, everybody knows we were driving up to Alaska last year. We stopped in Canada to go to church, and Megan was sitting in church in 2,000 miles away from here. Did you and my mom started talking, right?
Yeah, something like that.
You and mom started talking, and then all of a sudden we found out that she works up here in Alaska with nonprofit, and that kind of struck off the relationship from the beginning, right? So last year, there were over 1,000 beanies that were sent up from customers and other people that have knitted them or crocheted them, and they all went to Rural Cap. So that's kind of where the beginning started, and then there's quilts as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember how many quilts it was, but tell us about beanies going into the villages too. Tell us kind of what the experience was there.
Yeah, so this was super exciting to see happen throughout our villages. So we had all the beanies get shipped out to all of our sites, and all 22 of our sites, every single child got a beanie, and they loved it. And we got a lot of positive feedback from staff and from families that they really liked it. And I think it's something important to note here too with Alaska, these rural villages, no one has cars, or it's very rare there might be maybe a few cars in the village, but most people are on snowmobiles and four-wheelers for all transportation. And so when it is really cold in the winter, when it's -20 outside, these children, to go to school, they are bundling up and riding on a four-wheeler to get to school or to wherever they're going. And so to have a really warm, thick knitted beanie is huge. Like, it's essential, and it really did make a big difference.
Awesome. So this year, obviously, anybody that's sending in beanies, they'll also go with you guys. But then you're gonna get last year it was 333 quilts were donated. So tell us what kind of an impact that would have with Rural Cap if you get another 300 quilts.
These quilts would make a huge impact for these families. As we were saying, we have 21 sites, and 14 of those are in rural Alaska, meaning they are inaccessible by road. They're only accessible by plane or boat.
Which is something that's just like unheard of. Someone that's,
Yeah,
are you guys all from Alaska?
No.
If you haven't been to Alaska, it's humongous. From California to Mississippi River almost. I mean, it's humongous. And for us to think that there's places that you just can't get to unless you fly in, we don't think about that in the lower 48. So I think that's a big part of these quilt drives. Lots of times you think of, it's going to go somewhere in the neighborhood. But no, it's going on a plane or on a boat to get to these kids. So
Sometimes it's 3 planes and a boat ride across the river.
yeah. So your quilt could put some miles on it this year. What's that going to look like this year? So we're gonna send up quilts, and then tell us what it's going to look like.
Yeah, so this is really cool because a lot of these, as I was saying before, like a lot of these places get really cold in the wintertime. Different families in different situations, but there are a lot of houses that don't have great insulation up there. And so it can get really cold in the wintertime. And so to have a warm quilt it can be crucial for staying warm in the winter, and even just for the kids to have something that's their own, and
Very
the quilt
cool.
they can call their own is really cool.
I wanted to say sometimes in the villages they have scheduled power outages that last like 6 hours.
Wow. So no heat,
there's
no light.
heat. So those quilts would be
Wow.
very beneficial for those children to each
Wow.
have their own.
Sure. Wow.
Definitely.
So that's something I can't even think about,
Right.
just like a scheduled power outage. And why do they do scheduled power outages? Like what's just to save on the,
A lot of it was to
Grid?
fix
Oh.
things, and it would
Wow.
take that long to fix it.
wow.
But there was one of the villages had I think 3 in 1 month.
Wow.
So
Wow. This year, quilts are coming up, but in the meantime, tell us what you're doing with Rural Cap. So obviously the donations are a big part of it, but you're part of education. I know that you do the nutrition. Tell me, each one of you, what your roles are with Rural Cap and kind of what that looks like in a day-to-day life.
So my role, I was a teacher before becoming the Education Disabilities Lead for Sterling. However, we no longer have that program.
Okay.
And so this is my second year as Education Disabilities Lead.
Okay.
So I do travel to the sites to help them set up their classroom,
Okay.
model how to
Teach.
interact with
Yeah.
the kids.
Sure.
So-
Appropriate behavior,
Yes.
appropriate teaching, discipline, all
And
of that.
help with, to help the teachers, connect with the child and alleviate some of those behaviors, engage them more and
Very
things
cool.
like that.
And you're working with community leaders or with
I
city
mainly
or
work-
state?
I mainly work with the Head Start teachers. So I
Okay.
work with the teaching
Okay.
staff in the Head Starts in each of those villages I
Okay.
serve.
So in each of those villages, then you have a representative from the nonprofit living there, teaching or
Yes, so there's
okay.
a full staff. So there's the Head
So is it a
Start
facility
building.
of some kind?
There's a Head
Okay,
Start
okay.
building. Yes.
Very
and then
cool.
there's either a teacher director, on-site coordinator,
Okay.
a teacher and a teacher aide, a
Okay.
maintenance specialist,
Okay.
food service specialist. And
So-
depending on the size, there might be 2 classrooms, so then you have that double.
It's like a rural YMCA,
Yes.
right? Where they have a little bit of everything okay, very cool.
And so when we travel to the villages, we sleep on cots. We bring our
Okay.
food and water.
So
Sleeping
it's
bag.
you're
we're-
roughing it then, huh?
So a little
Wow.
bit. So
Wow, okay.
But it is rewarding though.
Oh, I bet.
It's so rewarding.
I work in family services. I started out as a substitute teacher for
Okay.
a local Head Start program. Then I became a family advocate. And what that is I work with families, and you meet with families to meet them where they're at, and you each family will set a family goal. It can be whatever the family wants, but the whole point of it is to strengthen the family unit.
Okay.
And so they might set a goal like, we want to incorporate bedtime routines, or we want to eat more nutritious foods, or we want to read to our children every night, or just things like that. Well, then I did that for 20 years, and then I became a site supervisor, and I supervised a local program, and we did a lot of community outreach, and you bring the communities in, and it's a real culturally rich environment. And when the kids come to these centers, they come in and the lights are on. It's a cold area. There's not a lot going on. There's a cook in the kitchen, and they get a warm, hot meal as soon as they get to school. And
Great.
they have their own cubby where they put their coats and things, and then they have a routine that they follow.
You almost have like the ultimate parent role, right? Making sure that things are in order, making sure that things are happening. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yes. So yes, I just work with them on that, and then the other piece would be identifying needs. And so I see a lot of needs that come in, and sometimes it's food, like crisis type needs.
Sure.
And sometimes families are looking for housing, things like that. That's what I did as a family advocate, and now I'm working with family advocates to help them, to train them to work with families.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and I am the registered dietitian for all of our Head Start and Early Head Start programs. So I feel like every day of my job looks very different. I have my hands in lots of different projects, but as you can imagine, in many of our rural sites, if you've ever heard of a food desert, this is the
I've never heard of that, so explain what that means.
So food desert is they're throughout the lower 48 as well. It's any place that does not have sufficient access to food. It's a place that people are going to be a lot more high risk for food insecurity, and it's not they don't have access to like fresh fruits and vegetables and food.
And is that due to location, or is that due to climate, or for here at least?
Yeah, so in the lower 48, I'd say too, it's a location thing. If people are in rural areas of the country and don't have access, they have limited resources to food. In many of our rural villages, they maybe have one native village store, or two maybe. But that's about it. There's no restaurants, there's no other stores. Getting fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy foods into these villages is extremely difficult. And so the food that they have to eat is extremely limited. And so my job is to try and help families figure out what they can do with the circumstances they're in to live the healthiest lives possible. And a lot of that really comes down to promoting the consumption of traditional foods. And so that's something that I really focus on with our families, but I help provide nutrition education to families, also our staff. Our staff spend a lot of the day with these children, and so helping train them on how they can approach food.
What to look for.
Yeah, and how to help children develop a healthy relationship with food and help them learn to like a variety of foods, all those kinds of things. I have my hands in different projects. Like right now, we're working with the food bank to try and get these families access to food throughout the summer. Even though school's out, being able to ship stuff so that they have meals throughout the summer.
To pick up and have food.
Yeah, things like that. So, yeah.
You guys cover all the bases. From education to food to...
We look at the whole child.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. It's cool because, obviously on our side of things, we're usually keeping somebody warm or keeping somebody clothed, right? Like we've done projects where it's dresses for girls. We, do sundresses for girls or quilts or different things. But it's nice to see our little puzzle piece, our customers here that send in a quilt. It's not just keeping the kid warm, but it's a piece to a whole, ecosystem that's going on here in Alaska. So this year, guys, the 15th of June to the 15th of August, those are the dates that we're collecting quilts. So 15th of June to 15th of August, and I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to do like a part 2 to this video and get some footage like we did last year of quilts going into villages, or see kind of the behind the scenes of what you guys do. So here's the thing with quilters. So every last quilter, and they're all gonna be chuckling on the other side of this video, every last quilter has a stash of fabric sitting there they've purchased throughout the years. They walk in a quilt store, like, oh, well, it got pretty, whatever. They buy some fabric, okay? Every single one of the people watching this has a stash of fabric that can be made into a quilt. So for all the quilters out there that are watching this, stop what you're doing, put it on your calendar that you're gonna donate a quilt to the Alaska Quilt Drive this year. All of the information about Alaska Quilt Drive will be in the description of this video, and you guys have met some of the faces behind where the quilts are going this year. So we'll also link your guys' website or Rural Cap's website in this video as well, so you can read up a little more about it. And if you have any questions or you want to donate in any other way to Rural Cap, you will have their information to be able to talk to them about it. So is there anything else that you want our customers to know about Rural Cap?
I just want to say thank you to all those who do end up donating. It really does make a huge difference. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to see these quilts reach the hands of these kids. It's really going to be amazing.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you so much for donating to the Alaska Quilt Drive. As I said before, down in the description below, you'll have all the information about Rural Cap. You have the information about the Quilt Drive. Anything you send will go to good use here with Rural Cap. So thank you guys for donating, and you guys will see us on the part 2 of this video here in a few months.